Hello, I'm the Angry Spork, taking issue with Future Quest. Previously, Birdman and Mitor found the Herculoids, mercenary Jezebel Jade quit Fear to help Doctors Quest and Zinn, and their shared foe Omnikron has arrived in LA to begin consuming the Earth. Or try out for American Idol, it's anyone's guess. Issue 9's cover has the armed pair of Benton and Zinn hiding behind a corner as Fear agents get closer. Say what you will about this organization, but their paintball game night is the stuff of legends. An alternate cover features the upgraded Frankenstein Jr. holding up the Quest kids, joined by Jan, Buzz, and Gleep and Gloop for some reason. Guess they can't resist photobombing a selfie. Jade, Zinn, and Benton have made it in the Phantom Cruiser, but have Fear guards firing on them. They can't make heads or tails of the alien controls until Jace wakes up and engages both defenses and engines at the press of a button. At least I'm thinking it's Jace because they pressed the right button, but given the green coloring of the glove, it looks like it's supposed to be Jade who possibly just got lucky.
God bless the idiot-proof Air Force.
Who knows? Anyway, the ship busts out the side of a mountain with the young man not entirely well enough to fly, but the only other choice was letting the ship get destroyed. He overheard Quest mention his sister, who should be with the Doctor's family, but right now Omnikron has been unleashed on California.
Buzz, is this the letter you said opens the head?
For the last time, Johnny, that's not a lever, that's a hatchet. But yes, it'll open the head if you swing it right. Inside Gargantuan's cranium, Buzz is working on connecting the neural net that he awkwardly adds his dad designed.
This isn't rocket science, it's brain surgery.
Meanwhile, Blip harasses Johnny's dog.
Stop teasing Bando, Blip.
It's Bandit, and he deserves it. Why? We haven't been shown the dog doing anything that legitimizes some monkey tugging his tail. Maybe Johnny Quest is just a jerk. Things should be working, but they're not, and since he disconnected Frankie's portable voice box, he can't even ask his robo-buddy what the problem could be. Just as he's questioning this whole idea, Frankie's new eyes light up, saying he just needed a bit more time to boot up a form so enormous.
Frankie, you're working! This'll show that punk Anakin Skywalker and his half-finished protocol droid.
Buzz says his mom's in danger, and there's a planet-consuming alien on the west coast, so Frankie utilizes his new body's molecular pattern changer to make some cosmetic changes, and the kids hop back inside his head as his thrusters fire. Okay, that Simpsons clip a few moments ago was slightly inaccurate. There are some rockets involved. In LA, the monster is headed for the water, seeming to ignore all the civilian morsels along the way for some reason. Cobalt is essentially flying the Impossible's ride to get ahead of it, though Coil-Man is holding the wheel like he's driving, and Multi-Man orders people to evacuate, while Space Ghost is passed out in the back. The Quest jet touches down on Ocean Avenue, as Dr. Kim-Conroy points out two signals. One is what the Impossibles are dealing with, on an intercept course with one originating from the sea. That's when another piece of Omnicron rises from the water just outside a seaside park.
We are Omnicron. We will feed. You shall become one with... Ooh, funnel cake!
The Impossibles arrive to the surprise of another creature, and Deva apparently already knows Cobalt's civilian name, Esmeralda Santos. She has a list of passengers that may have been affected by Fear's underwater experiment, which gave the team their powers. And I suppose she has it memorized? Not sure why this is a good time to point this out. Maybe to remind us of how capable and knowledgeable Agent Sumati is? Still seems like something that could have waited. The Phantom Cruiser shows up, dropping spider drones to attack both parts of Omnicron. Benton contacts Race, saying that according to the ship's instruments, Space Ghost needs to be treated with the technology on board. So he and Deva carry him while the monsters are kept busy. Whoa, this guy's like an anchor. Nah, Anchor's on the news. He's really more of a late-night talk show host. Wow, I'm making a lot of references to Cartoon Planet and Coast to Coast, aren't I? Birdman, Mitor, and the Herculoids have reached a dead end in the void, as weird as that sounds to say. The vortex they were heading towards is already closed, but all is not lost. Since Mitor's club contains the power that was originally Omnicron's, Ty may be able to open a new portal back to Earth. Oh, and way to forget the whole use superhero names while being super rule, Ray! Anywho, giving his club a charge of his own power, I guess, for whatever reason, maybe to help focus on the one point closed, since Birdman was the one sensing the trail, The club glows as we return to Quest Team. The ones old enough to drink and rent a car, anyway. While Zinn and Linda bicker outside, Space Ghost is on the ship healing, while Jade says she's currently working in favor of planet Earth, explaining her betrayal of fear. Ghost grabs Race and hands him his power band, not unlike the flashback in Issue 1. You are now part of the Space Force. You've got the standard jawline. The Spider-Bots begin getting wrecked as Omnicron tendrils burst from below, showing it was still advancing underground. It nearly absorbs Sumati and the scientists, but fortunately Race gets the hang of the power band real quick. More of the creature erupts forward, and weird, Benton seems to argue with himself, saying that they need to get to the pier, then contradicting that when he says the larger mass is in the water. Either that first bubble was meant for someone else, or he's starting to lose his marbles. A wind kicks up, heralding the arrival of Frankenstein Jr. as it lands on the tunneling tendrils. Holy cow! Look how big that monster is! Not to be culturally insensitive, but since Haji is Hindu, does his saying holy cow like this count as a form of blasphemy? Frankie then announces he's charging up an attack, like he's some kind of anime character. Though when you think about it, he does kind of resemble Gigantor if you squint. Anyway, he fires electricity at the monster in the water, and by the kid's dialogue, the insulation in the cranium isn't great. Then the robot eye-blasts the land monster behind him, with Jade, Race, and at least one surviving Spider-Bot helping out. Don't worry, world. You're protected by a giant lightning-shooting robot with voices in his head. Another vortex opens, but instead of more monsters, it's Birdman and Mightor joining the fight, soon followed by Tara and the Herculoids. Man, the local shawarma place is going to be busy after this fight. And it'll be an awkward post-battle feast indeed, because Tara, whose homeworld was overtaken and her people slaughtered by robots, orders her animal companions to destroy Frankie, believing him to be an enemy. She had the same reaction when she saw those automated pizza-making kiosks. She'll have her 3 cheese, ham, and green pepper made by humans, thank you very much. Issue 10's cover sees Frankie fighting Omnicron, surrounded by spotlights and skyscrapers. I'll say this much, the next Pacific Rim movie doesn't look half bad. The alternate cover shows Birdman, Space Ghost, and Mightor against a cosmic backdrop, done by Dustin Nguyen, and his work is just generally awesome. Less awesome is that, despite Birdman's protestations, the Herculoids are fighting Frankie, disrupting his systems and rattling Buzz and the others around inside. Their only remaining option is an emergency lever that, once pulled, launches the head from its collapsing body. It'd be really great if someone could catch us right now! If my experience watching Gundam anime is any indication, even if they crash and explode, there's a good chance half of them survive. And maybe one of the survivors will get a really cool-looking scar. Birdman and Mightor try catching the cranium, but it's too heavy even for their combined strength. Fortunately, Cobalt is there to lend a magnetic hand. Omnicron corners Quest and Deva, but they're saved by Fluid Man and Coil-Man. The latter is grabbed by the creature, but is strangely unharmed when he's pulled free. It's flowing away, too. Maybe you taste awful, Coil. Well, that's just insulting. Someone get me some seasoning salt and turmeric. After I've been on the grill for 20 minutes, then we'll see who tastes bad. 2 portions of Omnicron merge together and create a portal, presumably headed somewhere to absorb more life. Mightor defiantly flies into the portal to stop that from happening, and Birdman is too late to stop him before it closes. Parents are reunited with their kids, as are the Space Twins, though there is some lament that they lost an upper hand against the monster. And right now Tara is probably ordering the Herculoids to slink away nonchalantly to a nearby sunglass hut. According to Jan and Jace, there's no chance of Omnicron having given up on Earth. It's already begun bonding with the ecosystem and won't stop short of total assimilation. So, like Disney? Mightor is lost in a bright, swirly expanse, apparently unable to stop, implying he might have second-guessed his pursuit, and maybe he was drawn in at some point, but that's my speculation. He figures he could try opening a portal like he did before, but he would need to do so without Birdman's special vision, and hope he finds the right point of entry. Instead, he ends up in a prehistoric age, met by the original Mightor. Ty says he's from a later time, and Tor is actually pretty cool about it, not surprised that the club outlasts him. At least the power doesn't get returned to the Sky God. Good thing cave people had American English classes in this era, or this meetup would be a lot more confusing. Actually, being able to understand other languages is one of the club's powers. It can pull its wielder to a desired location if the user trusts it, and can even be used to heal, though that's much harder because Omnikron is like a sickness. It also can be used to sense the creature. It thinks like a riddle. It can never die, and yet it is always dying. So Omnikron is like really bad stand-up comedy? Though the monster brought on many strange beasts towards land, not all were bad. His winged friend Tog often helps him in battle, and I think that was who we saw in Ty's vision a few issues back. The caveman says that Ty need only picture where he wants to go, and the club will take him there. So the newbie, not being familiar with the West Coast, focuses on his friends, and disappears into a vortex. Tor wishes him well, officially acknowledging Ty as my Tor. And that, boys and girls, is how superhero franchising was invented. At a UN emergency meeting, it's mentioned that Omnikron had randomly teleported around the globe, absorbing people until it faced military retaliation, then fleeing again. However, the most success in stopping the threat has come from Internation's collection of scientists and operatives, so now the previously ostracized organization, led by Falcon 7, is given full support.
Ha ha! Dangly parts.
Meanwhile, the most successful team in question is prepping in their own way. Deva can't believe the Kremlin wrecked a quarter of Moscow to stop the creature, though it doesn't surprise Race. Zin and Quest are bickering, but that's apparently a good sign for their progress. Birdman is pulling in more solar energy, and Linda Kim-Conroy is too busy to be disturbed. Just as Agent Sumati is about to inform Ty's parents that he's missing, he returns through a portal near his friends, as they're carrying laundry? Were they sent on a mundane errand to keep them busy? That's not going to work with Johnny and Haji. You just know the owner of the laundromat is someone out for revenge against the Quest team because Bandit urinated on his flower garden or something. He also reunites with his transformed cat Snag.
Please change him back to normal now. He won't eat anything but fresh meat in this form, and I think the local zoo is starting to get suspicious of our Great Dane with a pituitary gland issue.
His conversation with his predecessor was short and sweet, but according to that UN exposition meeting, about a day seems to have gone by. Time travel is weird, I guess, but hey, Ty can essentially teleport anywhere now. More good news, Frankenstein Jr. is repaired and will be powered up within the hour, thanks to Cobalt and Multi-Man. As for the other two impossibles, me and Fluey gave moral support. You sat on the couch watching a behind-the-music marathon. We never saw you unless you were getting up to get pretzels or go to the bathroom. So you wouldn't forget what you're fighting for. Snacks and documentary series about 80s hairbands. You're welcome. After hours of explanation from Jan and Jace, Tara approaches with the contrite Herculoids, apologizing for their assault when they had Omnikron on the ropes. It's been a while since they'd encountered robots that weren't trying to exterminate them, after all. Linda isn't too upset, since Gleep's infiltration showed vulnerabilities that the enemy would have exploited eventually, and she can correct for those failings. After the polymorph cell twin Gloop was absorbed, Gleep experiences pain whenever Omnikron nears, something that piques the roboticist's interests. Then, kind of awkwardly, we get a rundown of the current situation. The eggheads have informed the UN that, should the creature emerge from a vortex, only remote attacks should be used to destroy as much as possible before it retreats. Unfortunately, Omnikron adapts to each world it attacks, focusing more on largely populated areas, and integrates human thought processes with the more people it absorbs. You are what you eat, and if you're not careful, you become what eats you. There's a plausible healthy eating PSA in there somewhere. Fortunately, the guy that knows this threat better than anyone, Space Ghost, is recovered and overheard the exposition, apparently going invisible until now. Yeah, he was technically spying on them, but more to get a measure of the people that have put up such impressive resistance, despite not being as technologically advanced as previously doomed planets. Deva makes for a great general, and Race would have excelled as part of the Space Force. Thanks, but I'll stick to guns and dirty fighting. Mud in the eye, hair pulling, pointing behind them and saying, "What's that?" All time-tested classics approved by Race Bannon. While the Ghost was holding Omnicron at bay in hyperspace, it split apart to attack Earth's past, not only empowering the Club of Mytor, but given the creatures that broke off and attacked Tor's Valley, it means that joining with the monster isn't permanent. For a while, anyway. Eventually, whatever life is taken does become one with the monster. So, like Disney? The connection Gloop seems to have could be useful, but detection only works when Omnicron is on Earth, and fighting it in the void, where it's apparently residing right now, isn't such a good idea. They do have advantages that could form into an effective plan. Gravity and terrain of the planet, the destructive tech of both Zin and Quest, though the latter is nonplussed by the remark, and the immunity afforded Frankenstein Jr., Egu the Rock Ape, and the Impossibles, their cells made more like alloys from their transformations. So that's why metal detectors explode when we walk through them. At Fear's headquarters, Number 1 is having spider drones loaded and prepared, taking advantage of government forces being too busy with Omnicron, and of course plotting revenge against Zin, Quest, and Jezebel Jade.
I will remove their brains, and I'll put them in jars, and write stupid on them, and okay, the brain removal part sounded cool in my head, but I honestly can't figure out what to do after that. Screw it, I'll just shoot them.
Fear's defenses are breached, and fireballs rain down on them. Oh no! I knew this day would happen! Adele finally set fire to the rain like she said she would! I told you not to heckle her at that concert! I told you not to do it! The evil leader is taken away and met with several of our protagonists. And Zin. And the issue ends with him being encouraged to set his revenge plans aside, because his Fear goons are about to be drafted in the fight for Earth. These two issues flowed pretty well, doing what we've seen these Gathering of Heroes stories do before. Build up their big fight that isn't their biggest fight. We saw them work together rather well to fight Omnicron, until the Herculoid's mistrust of machines created an obstacle. Not unlike Star-Lord losing it when he finds out Gamora's fate in Avengers Infinity War, though I doubt Tara's attack orders were part of a 1 in 14 million chance to later defeat their cosmic foe. It was, however, understandable, given the bots they usually encounter always try to kill them, and Linda figured Omnicron would have exploited her gargantuan design flaws anyway. There is some rather quick exposition to sort things out, some that feel almost out of nowhere, like how absorbed life could potentially be saved. It's fine to have that, I just don't know when Ghost had the time to discover this fact. Maybe it's just based on his observations during his fight in hyperspace with Omnicron. I liked the quick tutoring session between old and current Mytors, though it did feel a little too clean. It almost felt too short for the kind of revelations we get, but I suppose Ty got what he needed, and there was no point in lingering further. One could argue that what led him to his namesake was an uncertainty about his powers, and the club leading him to someone that could give him insight. It is quick development, but it doesn't feel as much of a cop-out as other examples I could cite. Next week, we wrap this story up and see how this strange collection of heroes defeat Omnicron. If it doesn't involve calling in Hong Kong Phooey, I'm calling shenanigans. I'm the Angry Spork, and man, have I got issues.